Welcome back to Castleview Mills, here on the Argideen River. It's still very peaceful here in this beautiful part of West Cork. We made our first visit here in the early spring, and now the summer is gradually creeping in. As promised in this video, we will go inside the mill to examine the water turbine, its means of power. I'll also take you around the island field to hold you in awe of diverse natural wildlife and the fauna found here. But first, a quick reminder. This unique mill, built over 200 years ago, is ranked among the top 5 best preserved mills in Ireland. We met the current owner, Joe O'Leary, the 7th generation of direct descendants of the original mill operators. He told us of the terrible siege that happened here in 1886 that was reported all over the world. He also showed us the huge millstones and explained the miller's skill as to how they were dressed. Going out and around the mill, Joe explained how that once a huge breast-shot water wheel that had powered this mill had to be removed. This was because of the stresses it was placing on the building. Despite metal bracing, a full-length crack had started to rip through the wall.
So a lot of what we spoke about is just the building itself, but there's a very important social history in terms of obviously the eviction story in 1886, but also this would have been a centre of a social hub, I suppose, back when it was in its heyday, because you had people coming from all over.
Continuing this story, in 1918, Joe's grandfather, Thomas O'Leary, decided to change the means of power and install what, in contrast, must have seemed a ridiculously small American water turbine. Its inner parts shown here are no bigger than a household dustbin. Joe describes it as a reverse Francis hydro turbine. It was a gutsy thing for Thomas to have installed it. It involved changing the driving force from horizontal to vertical, so numerous pulleys and belts had to be meticulously realigned. Compared to the big water wheel, would such a small device secure the jobs and industry of the mill?
Quick look at the turbine itself. So, very unusual design. Doesn't fit any of the standard kind of classifications of turbine. So this mechanism here just opens the door on the inlet to the turbine. So
amazingly, yes, it does power the mill. The water is forced through a narrowing spiral centrifuge that causes the drive shaft to spin. It may be small, but it fully harnesses the water pressure that spouts from the bottom of the 12-foot header tank. Fully powered, the mill remained operational right up until 1995. The new turbine could also power this lathe, a grinder for rolling grain, and even this generator that provided electricity. Joe tells of what it was like to turn the lights off last thing at night.
But my grandmother, at 11 o'clock at night when she's going to bed, she'd come out with her lantern and she'd turn off the turbine, the main mechanism, and it would just wind down and that was the electricity gone. Off to bed.
Now, lead me out.
Yes, let's head on out to the rain. But water, as I think about it, is the link that gives life to all that's around here. As I walk out into the island field, do you ever find yourself just lunging through life without taking time to stop and notice? Humanity spends billions on probes to find life on other planets, but have we taken the time to see what's under our own noses? Okay, I'm not a botanist. It took me ages to identify this Chilean iris that is growing wild here on the river bank. However, I do recognize this fern that is stretching out its presence, unfurling its newborn fronds. Meanwhile, the life-giving rain pours on. What about this pyramidal navelwort that stands tall like a tiered wedding cake? It makes a great viewing platform if you're a fly. Pink bluebells flicker in the sunlight as the rain showers begin to ease off. As the sunshine emerges, there goes a flutterby. Butterfly? In this case, it's a green-veined white butterfly. Just look how well its wings blend into the wild garlic flowers. The bluebells and wild garlic provide a splash of colour on the river banks. A pied wagtail feasts on the flies that dance over the rolling river. Nearby, marsh marigolds adorn the quiet mill stream. Creeping buttercups provide a carpet of cover for beetles, spiders, and these pretty busy flies. I take time to feel the grass against the palm of my hands. Curious cattle across the river inquire as to what's going on. I walk on through the dappled blue meadow grass. The blackthorn is mighty in full flower. I nearly miss seeing another green-veined white butterfly. How well it blends in here, too. Meanwhile, the hard-working crows fly errands to feed their chicks inside the mill walls. I feel here that I am witnessing something that is inherently good. This place speaks of a blended harmony that seems to coexist effortlessly. What a contrast to our human world of war, forced migration, dark web, cyber crime, and so on. For goodness sake, we might groan. What's next? Our human world appears to be cracking up. In our Bible reading for Pentecost, a bit like this mill, the disciples were given a new means of power, the power of the Holy Spirit. Through Jesus, the goodness of God is now made available to everyone of every tribe, colour, gender, and race. So that includes you and me. If we are gutsy, we would ask for this new means of power by praying, "Come, Holy Spirit." So let's listen to the still small voice inside of us. Choose to do what is right and what is good. It may be a small voice, but it's powerful. There is still a lot of goodness in this world we share. Let's ask for the power of the Holy Spirit in our lives and do good for goodness sake.